it's so beautiful.
It's so good.
Like, I don't even know. I don't know.
It's so good.
It's so good. Hey everyone, welcome to Heaving Bosoms, the podcast where two long-distance best friends recap romance novels scene by scene while commenting, joking, and reliving their youth. This week we're starting off with a Patreon shout-out. Andi M, you are descended from Lilith, one of the most ancient mystical figures in Judeo-Christian lore. She is known as the dark moon goddess in astrology and is associated with uncontrollable feminine vitality. Andi, you're respected and revered in part because Lilith has always been so feared by the patriarchy. Anyone that ancient men deemed demonic, I see as a badass of antiquity who had to be vilified lest she overpower them. So, you continue owning your sexuality, relying on the prudence and wisdom of your intuition, and being courageous in your demands of the world. That's all Lilith asks. I have to give a huge thanks to all of our patrons. Seriously, you are what keep Heaving Bosoms possible, so thank you. And now, we're finishing up gorgeous YA novel, The Sky is Everywhere, by Jandy Nelson. Here we go. Hello!
Hi. Sorry, I was doodling on my notebook. What's up?
Were you doing a doodle, Erin?
Yeah, I drew a circle.
Is that just like what you do in your spare time when you're
I just do these little doodles and I don't even care if Brad sees.
Oh my God, just thinking about boys, and then after you do your doodle, do you just tuck it into a fence somewhere and walk away?
Yeah, I don't even care if Derek finds them. I just like doing them. I don't even know why I do them.
I don't
They
either.
just happen.
Yeah, they just spring forth from your soul.
So obsessed with this book.
Me too.
And I should hate it for every reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. We're back.
So good.
We're doing
back
it
for
again.
Part 2.
Where did we leave off?
We left off after they go on the date. So now Toby's at her house again.
Ugh.
And she goes up to her room to avoid him. But then he comes into her room and
oh, wait, but this is such a big angst.
Yeah.
Because Graham is like, hey, Toby's coming over for dinner. And she's like, oh, why? Why do you keep inviting him over to our house? And Graham's like, I needed help with my plant schmurs, and he offered to help. And I've asked you several times if things are cool between you and Toby, and you keep saying yes. But this whole thing you're doing is extremely weird.
Yeah.
And she's just like, I'm complicated and mysterious. Just stop
Graham,
it.
just stop trying to crack my code. Okay, Graham?
Yeah, I'm just not hungry for dinner or whatever. And then so Toby and her family have a full dinner downstairs while she sulks in her room. Is this one where she plays punk music really loud? No, that's later.
Yeah. No,
But
I'm
she just
pretty
does
sure this is it.
This is it? No.
I'm
so nuts.
Oh, no. Maybe this time she's playing her clarinet. Something's happening in her room. She's wearing Bailey's
She does
shirt.
something super angsty while they're having a quiet family dinner downstairs that is insane.
It's really great stuff. And then he comes up and apologizes. But then as he's apologizing to her, sitting on the opposite bed, P.S., sitting on his dead fiance's bed, he's like, I can't stop thinking about you, though.
He is balling up the comforter in his hands out of horniness because he can't stop thinking about her. And the dream, ladies. The dream of every 17-year-old girl. And it's horrifically in the body of her dead sister's fiance.
Not to mention that he is doing this out of horniness, grabbing the comforter on which he used to ball her sister so hard.
Accurate. But the other thing is, like, he lived on a ranch, so I doubt they did it very much at Lenny's house.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like, I feel like ranch has many opportunities.
I feel like Bailey knew from a very early age that you only have sex against a tree with a shirt on.
Right?
Yeah.
What a smart girl.
Gone too soon, that Bailey. Font of wisdom, that one.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Lenny
so anyway,
would totally have a sex barebacked against a tree. Like an idiot. Yeah.
She
and we
learned
love
her
her
lesson,
for
though.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she learns her lessons. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. He says he can't stop thinking about her, and she's like, it's not me. I'm not her. Oh, God. And then she goes into the closet, the pumpkin inner sanctum or something like that, because
she's wearing her clothes, her sister's clothes. So she's graduated from wearing her sister's clothes over hers to just like wearing them all the time. And so she's like, she says in her narrative, like, I have to get this shirt off. And I was like, Lenny, do not just take your shirt off right now. That's a bad move.
She doesn't, though. She goes into the closet.
She goes into the closet, which she calls the sanctum, and takes off and changes. And then when she comes back out, Toby's gone.
Yeah.
He broods away. Ugh.
That's right. And then just as he leaves, pitter pat, 1,000 angels start crying, or maybe coming if you...
No. You do not...
You don't want me
to...
to...
bring the evils of that book.
You don't want me to invoke pleasure in this book?
No. Into this beautiful teen children's book. How dare you?
You're
and if
right.
no one knows... Listener, if you don't know what we're talking about, if you're one of the people that only listens to the podcast for books you've read, that's understandable. Mm-hmm. But I beg you to listen to the pleasure episode. Here are some books you haven't read that you have to listen to the episodes for. Split, Pleasure. Yes. What's another one? I don't know.
Mastered by Her Mates.
Mastered by Her Mates. Yeah, anyway. But man, Pleasure. Do not bring the evil into this book.
You're right. It was wrong with me. So it's raining, and it's very romance.
It's raining. It's raining. That is the way to describe it. Not 1,000 angels coming. But that is the way.
But then she realizes that Joe is outside in the rain, and she hasn't seen him. He didn't come over this morning. And it's been a teeny bit of a concernicus. Mm-hmm. So she like flies down the stairs as fast as she's ever run in her life. And she goes outside and she's like, "You're here." And he's like, "I know, I had to escape. I missed you." And she's like, "I missed you. Why did you have to escape?" Turns out that wine they drank last night was $400 a bottle.
Such a mood.
Such a mood.
Such a rich French boy.
Oh, yeah.
Oof. Yeah.
So he's been grounded all day and like doing hard labor for his dad, like helping him make musical instruments and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, but also listening to his dad speak French to his girlfriend. That's not great. Like, Dad.
Stop having a girlfriend, Dad. You have a wife.
Also, stop doing it in front of your kids. Like, if A is not going to happen, we really need to commit to B.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. 100% yes.
Yeah. Okay, so she goes outside and she's like, "Oh my gosh." And then they're kissing in the rain and they're kissing and kissing. He's like, it started raining and I had to see you just like this. Because he's a big romance.
It's such a YA rain kiss.
I know.
So good, and his hair's all stuck to his face.
And there's water droplets off of his eyelashes.
Water droplets, and she's tasting the rain, and she's tasting him, and she's tasting the kiss, and it's so good.
It's so good.
So much love. Ugh,
and then
big romance.
He sort of stiffens his whole body, and she's like, "What's going on?" And he's like, he looks behind them, and he's like, "Why is he always here?" Because Toby is like
watching.
He's a gargoyle in their front door, just watching them. Yeah, like that.
Sorry, I was doing gargoyle faces.
It's true.
It's so weird.
Yeah. And so she's like, "Oh, he's just so sad about Bailey," which is not a lie.
No, it's not a lie, but it is
a lie.
It is a weird reason to watch your dead fiance's little sister make out with the new guy from band. It is a weird justification for that.
Correct.
In the rain.
And then this is where she really goes wrong right here. Yes. Is that he says, "Okay, so I'm being stupid and paranoid and crazy." And she's like,
she gaslights him.
Yeah, she gaslights him so hard.
It's rough.
Oof.
It's rough.
And then he's like, "I came over to give you this." and he puts it into her hand, and she realizes that it is a brand new composition of their love.
He does write a song.
He writes a melody for them
by her. And listen, I have liked this exactly one time in fiction before this. And it is in the classic film The Holiday, recapped by me and Jill Shalvis, celebrity author, for this very podcast. When Jack Black does a doodly-doo, his medley for both the old man who lives next door to Kate Winslet and then Kate Winslet. And it is beautiful. And then he says, I only use the good notes, and it is such a romance hero. That is number one, and this is number two. I loved it, but I just loved it so much. And she's just honking it out on her clarinet for days, and then he's honking it out on his clarinet for days. I just love it.
Oh my God. It's so good. They're such musical nerds, and I love it so much. God, it's such a romance. Okay. Mm-hmm. So now Joe comes over the next morning with pastries, and they're like, whoa, is this, oh God. Big says, is this a conjugal visit, or did they set you free?
Uncle Big. You hippie.
Keep that in your arborist bucket.
Also, pick a fucking lane. Because after she came home, clearly drunk, after she came home, after the wine incident, she woke up to them standing around her bed being like, she definitely drank red wine because of that mouth.
Yeah.
She is in her clothes. She did come home at 4 a.m. They're taking off all these things.
And she's humming.
Yeah. And she's singing in her sleep. She probably was deflowered yesterday evening.
Yeah.
And then they're like, we don't like her drinking. And it's pick a lane.
Yeah.
You're cool with her staying out all night with the new rebellious French kid from band, but you're not cool with a little red wine? Come on, guys.
They're sending a lot of mixed messages, this parenting duo.
They really are.
Yeah.
They really are.
Anyway, so then... So he's like, oh no, my dad's a romantic
are you
heart.
here to fuck my niece, or what's the deal? I just...
Yikes.
Okay, sorry.
So he's like, no, I told my dad, why it happened and why I wanted to impress her and, how I was feeling. And he, blushes and smiles at her.
His horny French dad loves.
He does. He loves.
Does love.
And so he let him out. But then he goes up to Bailey. They're standing in the kitchen. Sorry, he goes up to Lenny. They're standing in the kitchen.
Do you know how much of this book is filled with secondhand embarrassment for this heroine?
So much.
Oh, God.
And it's such, it's so YA. It's so perfectly YA. The amount of times I did just completely obtuse nonsense that now I look back on myself and I'm like, they totally heard you say that clumsy, awful, horny thing. No.
Here's a not so secret. I'm pretty confident, and I've said this to him several times, that the reason Cole and I are still friends is that we know all this shit about each other.
Oh, yeah.
We're the only ones who know how deeply embarrassing and terrible we were as teens and early 20s. And if we ever have the falling out that ends our friendship, it's mutually assured destruction. I cannot have that out there with no control over it.
No,
and that is
you
the
need
reason
that
we're
on
friends.
your side.
It is not affection. It is not, it is not camaraderie. It's none of that. It is just
terror,
self-preservation and terror. Yes, that is it. That's the only reason we still talk. Got to keep that real close.
That's right.
Know?
That's right. No, you gotta text that daily.
In front of this grandmother.
No, here's what happens. No, I have to do a play-by-play. I'm sorry.
Okay,
I have to.
Okay.
Because he comes up behind her and he does a behind her snuggle situation, which is okay, all right. We're
still
towing
already
the line.
not okay. Already not okay.
I hear you.
Already.
I am trying to be charitable, all right?
Find a place to be outdoors. You live in Northern California.
Yeah, it's everywhere. The outdoors is everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So
the outdoors is everywhere.
Then she does a peek over her shoulder to be like, the melody you wrote is beautiful. Mm-hmm. And he's she says I want to play it for you. And then he basically thinks to himself, I want to play your mouth. And so he leans over and then smooches her up. But then she just turns around in his arms and puts her whole arms around his neck. And they just do this hard serious makeout in front of her uncle and her grandmother, and they are barely chagrined when the uncle is like, kids, they're like, oh, we're such lovebirds.
Discussion of his boner.
Oh, yeah. That's right. He puts his guitar in front of his boner because there is the boner and everybody knows it. And all she has to say about that is like, glad I don't have to carry that flag around, right? Like, I've been so horny since my sister
I don't
died.
Have a penis. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Ma'am, like, and like, you don't need a penis for your grandmother and uncle to know that you're horny.
No.
When you're doing sex stuff in front of them. Stop it. Stop rubbing up on this guy in front of your family.
You have to stop being a cat on a hot tin roof in front of your grandmother. That is a sexual activity that inconveniences the elderly. I don't care how hippie she is.
Yes.
So now they're going to go to summertime honor band rehearsal, everybody. It's like a jazz band rehearsal. And she's like, oh man, if we even make it there. And they're like cutesy and coupley in front of the whole school, including but not limited to that bitch Rachel, who definitely said that he was out of Lenny's league. Okay. And then after that, she's like, remember how we needed to go into that creaky forest while it creaked around us? And he's like, I've never been so turned on by the word creaky before in my life. And so she's like, just follow me. And as they walk through the forest, he does ask about that missing mom.
Bong. Let's
go. Tell me everything.
Oh, yeah. They do talk about missing mom. And she's like, oh, no, it's great. It's incredible how my mom abandoned us. She is an explorer like Magellan.
Yeah.
And like, when she tells this story, I identify with this strongly. When she tells this fun, cute story, everyone else is usually horrified, to include him. Anyway.
Also, I identify with that a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, hey, listen to this hilarious thing that happened to me. And everybody's like, are you okay? And it's like, no, you're making it weird. You're supposed to laugh.
So they're talking about the mom.
Oh, my God. Okay. Yes. So they're in the forest. Bing, boom, bong. Forest times. This is ridiculous. This is all the things in one. This is teens. This is hippies. This is all the things. This is twee.
Every single thing.
There is a cabin.
No, just a bed.
There is a bed in the forest.
It's like a living room setup, but without a structure around it.
Yeah, cabin was a bad word. Because there is like some light furnishings to go with this.
Oh yeah, there's like a rocker. Apparently there's an inn nearby, and the proprietor of the inn just like keeps this bedroom set always set up in the forest. He changes the sheets. It is not clear when, but it just happens.
Sometimes. And when it's raining, he goes out there and throws a tarp over it so that it doesn't get rainy.
So wait, bing boom bong within the bing boom bong here.
Bing boom bongception, bird click. Yes.
That's right.
Tell me all about it.
This is nonsense, Erin.
This is insane.
It doesn't matter how many tarps you throw over that shit. It's still going to be dank and damp AF.
It's in the forest, which means, okay, if this were, let's say, this were a bed in your backyard, okay, that you threw a tarp over every time it rained, you wouldn't be able to throw a tarp over it instantaneously before the rain started, even if it was in your backyard. Let alone something that you have to hike out to. Like, it's, even if he senses rain immediately and gets on it immediately, it's going to take him 20 minutes to get out there and get the tarp and have it happen.
Not to mention that, like, rain notwithstanding, forget the rain, listener.
Yes.
It never rains there.
No.
The dew every single morning. Plus, like, everything that's just, like, on the fucking wind. The pine needles that are just about. Like, the critters that are going to crawl across that thing no matter what you fucking do. This thing is a mess.
The
poop.
mice nesting in it. The critters.
Oh my God. The mice are finding the inside of that mattress so quickly.
Oh my God. The
bananas.
squirrels.
Oh my God.
All types.
Every type of critter. Don't get me started on the raccoons. Those trash pandas are in there.
Friends, listen. She makes it a point when it's raining and she makes out with Joe that she's like, it never rains here. Never. So this is why our rain makeout is so special, because we're in California where it never rains. Fine. But bitch, it just rained last night or whatever.
Yesterday.
Yes. And you know what would make this bed not that much fun even?
What?
Windy.
Oh, it's windy.
Yes. The
There's
whole
wind.
point of them going out there was that it's windy and it's creaky, and they were going to go out there the next time it's windy and creaky.
Yeah.
Because he's afraid of creakiness.
Yeah.
This is the most insane hippie shit.
Yeah. It's nonsense.
Ever.
And I loved it, though. I was trash for it.
I loved it. It's just
I
like
loved
when
it.
Eric and Sookie have that dream situation. Listen, I loved it.
Loved it.
But the
It's
only way
ridiculous.
this works if it has, like, you know, those like bed bug mattress things you can zip your mattress in. One of those waterproof
Plus a
for the whole
rubber
bed.
sheet.
The whole bed.
Yeah.
Like, you know how people cover like their motorcycle or their like classic car for the winter with one of those zip up thingies when you live in trash Midwest?
Yeah.
One of those for the whole bed.
You have to have a whole of those and then a rubber sheet over that and then
Yes.
whatever bed stuff you want to put on top of it.
No, I'm saying enclosing the bed, and then if people want to use it, they must unzip it.
That's
And then
even
zip it up when they're done.
smarter. Yeah, Erin, that's
And
smart.
even if that's the case, even if they do that, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Still, assumedly, people from the inn are finding this bed and doing stuff on it, right? Like, that's the
and
point.
fucking on it all the time. There is strangers come all over that nonsense. And probably also squirrel come, Erin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All kind of woodland
The
creatures are
squirrels
using this
jizzing
romantic
all
getaway.
over that thing. Oh my God. So anyway, listen, it's
Can
a
you
dream come
imagine, like,
true.
During your romantic tryst on this bed, just be like, oh no, the spider eggs are hatching under us. Like, I just feel
Yes.
like constantly there would be like things nesting and being born. It's a whole ecosystem.
It is. It's an ecosystem unto itself. That's true. Okay,
Oof.
so she goes and she like jumps onto it and she lays on her back and she's all sprawled out and she's like, it's one of my favorite places in the whole wide world. And he's like, what do you do when you're out here? And she's like, oh, I
Masturbate.
daydream.
Right?
Right. I daydream. And he's
I
like
think about
trailing his
this.
hand over her midriff. And he's like, what do you daydream about? And she's like, this.
So like, bing, boom, bong.
So bing, boom, bong, masturbation.
She flicking it. Yeah.
That bean is all over the place. So
Oh, man.
then he looks down at her. He's like, he's up on his arm, you know, he's like crooking at her. And he's like, hey, John Lennon, can I ask you something? Are you a virgin? And
Yeah.
she's like, oh, is it that obvious?
That obvious. And he's like, yes, you are
Yeah.
hella a virgin. I can tell by the Wuthering Heights of it all. You are a big V virgin. I can tell by your clarinet, bitch, you're a virgin. Sorry, not sorry. Come
sorry,
at
not
us.
sorry. Erin is going there during this book, okay? This is courage in action. All right, everybody?
I'm sorry.
Okay, so listen. Now she's like, oh no, it's so uncool. And then he's like, actually, I think it's really super cool. And she's like, oh, why would you think it's so cool?
Because
And
he
he's
wants
like,
to be your first.
yeah, he's like, well, I mean, if there's ever a time in the future, not now, of course, but like ever a time that you wouldn't want to be a virgin anymore, I could be your first. And he gets all sheepish. And then she bursts into noisy sobs.
Yeah, she does. She does do a big sobbing cry. And then she's like, I'm happy, I swear, my sister's dead.
He's
I'm
like,
happy,
he's
I'm
like,
happy
oh my
about...
God, no pressure. Oh my God, we don't have to do it ever. I don't even have a penis, he says. I'm
just a smooth Ken doll down there. Don't worry about it. We're good.
I was just, play acting. I was just improving out in my brain.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I'm crying because I'm so happy. She's doing one of those quintessential happy cries.
But it's one of those things where it's just like so confusing because she's like feeling all her best feels, but it's right after her sister died. And like, why is it now? And she's never going to be able to tell.
She's also feeling incredibly guilty about Toby. Hello.
Oh, yes. Also very guilty about Toby, but also like her sister's never going to know this boy. Like she's never going to be able to run home and be like, I had sex with boy, the way that Bailey ran home and said I had sex with boy. Because like we get that part in there too. And like also like she's gone further with Toby than she's gone with Joe at this point. Like it's
a mess in there, you know? And I understand, Lenny,
Yes.
you are okay. It's all the normal things that are happening in your brain right now, and it's okay. But she doesn't know that. And so then he's like trying to make it better because he really doesn't want to pressure her. He says, just looking into your eyes, I've never felt anything like this. And then she says, me neither. And they kiss. And then he says, oh, we got to just stick with this because I think I might not survive anything more. And then he goes, just kidding. I want to do everything with you whenever you're ready. And then he's like, I'm the one, okay? And she promises. And then he's like, good, glad that's decided. I'm going to deflower you, John Lennon.
But he does it. He pins her arms above her head with one hand, and he's like doing stuff with the other hand.
Oh,
and
God.
he says, I'm going to deflower you, which is like not something I would find inherently sexy, but like the sexy child was sexy when he said it.
It's
and
so
I know
sexy.
that I did say child, but I'm just trying to acknowledge
listen,
that
we're just trying to be our most authentic selves here. It's also a mess in here. Yeah, it's hot. It's hot
and good.
And then she says, she's like, oh my God, Keldork to the max. Because she keeps on calling him Keldork. And it's really fucking cute.
Yeah, it's
too much. Is what it is.
But then the spider eggs hatch underneath him.
And then they look over and a squirrel is just dry humping the mattress watching them.
And then a bird poops on her face.
It's like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so now same day, right? She goes home. They like split up at the road or whatever.
The days in this book are insane. Whenever she says things like earlier today or yesterday, I'm always astounded that all of these things happen in one day.
I was sure it was 2 weeks ago because a lot of times the days are like 5 chapters long. And so I'm like, okay, a week and a half has gone by. What?
But like that night where it's like she made out with Toby, then she made out with Joe, and then she made out with Toby again or like saw him again. It's just like, this is all one day? Like,
that was a 24-hour period.
No wonder she's like going fucking nuts.
Yeah, it's bats in the belfry over there. It's too much at once. It's too much all at the same time.
It's too much.
So she goes home, and I'm sorry, listener, this is actually where it happens. I told you it was last time. I fucked up last episode. This is me flagellating myself for you. Okay?
Don't, Melody, I know you're an exhibitionist, but let's please not.
Should I just keep that to myself?
Please not flagellate in front of the listener right now.
All right, fine. So Toby's at her house, and she's really, really fucking pissed about it. So she goes up to her room, and this is where she like looks over a bunch of combinations of different names that Bailey had been searching to try to find their mom. And she's finally like, what the fuck? Why was this happening? Why was she keeping it from me? What was going on? So she goes down and talks to Toby about it. This is where he tells her that Bailey was pregnant and they were going to tell them about it as soon as they could, basically. But then she died. And so then she feels terrible, and like just all of this sympathetic, understanding grief like wells up in her, and she just wants to like tether him back to the earth and show him that like connection is still possible, kind of thing. So she kisses him in her front yard. Boy, does she just she plays tonsil hockey with him in her front fucking yard. Right after squirrel dry hump times.
Right after promising herself. Like,
and Bailey.
That was promise rings times.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. She's also told dead Bailey like several times that she was never going to do this again. Like throughout the book. She's already broken that promise multiple times.
Right. Yeah. Well, Toby, his whole body goes rigid, and she looks over her shoulder thinking, oh, it's probably Graham or Big, and this is going to be like, no,
it's not.
No, it's definitely absolutely not. Lenny, you're in your front fucking yard. And Joe is there. He is white-faced. He has no idea what the fuck to do. And so he just like turns around and starts running toward his house again.
But like, you guys, he is always smiling. And then he's just like not smiling for the first time. You guys, it is heart-wrenching.
Oh my
so
God.
much more than in other books where it's like somebody walked in on somebody. You don't like this happens all the time where it's like somebody walks in on a schnurfle and it's like, oh, well, he kissed me and I didn't mean to. Like, there's always like a great explanation for the schnurfle. She has no explanation for this. And she has directly told him, you are crazy. This is not going on.
You're nuts. You're paranoid, he says, because of your trauma. This is your trauma, she says to him. No, it's not, Lenny.
And he has walked in on this guy in her room several times, so he knows this isn't a one-time thing. This isn't like Toby going in for the kiss and her being, and him like walking in right before she's like, no, Toby, we could never. And like, make no mistake, like she kissed him in this moment. And likely Joe saw that.
Yeah, I'm certain Joe saw her approach him and initiate the kiss. I'm certain of it.
There is just no, just like, they're never coming back from this. There's no
never
way.
There's no way. I don't know how Jandy Nelson is going to write her way out of this. I don't know how she's going to do it.
She's so guilty and I love her so much. And I
know.
Would have done the same thing.
God, it's so tough, right? Because I would have done the same thing.
I would have. Yeah.
Well, okay, so then there's a point a little ways down the book, and I just don't want to forget to say it because it's just so good and perfect, and it goes to your point about like how it's so much more soul crushing because he's like so animated and so happy. There's a moment where they're having an argument, a disagreement, whatever it is, and she says, the way that he's looking at me, I've sucked the joy out of the most joyful person on earth. It's like, oh, fuck balls, man. That is... Ugh.
And like, she did. It's not like one of those contemporary romances where it's like, no, you didn't. Just talk to him and it's fine. Like, she did, though. Like, she
completely did. Over and over again. And with impunity and knowing, having this sick feeling in her tummy the whole time that she was lying to him and gaslighting him, knowing it the whole time and not being able to stop herself.
And like, we get why she did it because we're in her head, but there's no coherent way to explain this to anyone.
No, not at all. Jesus. HBs, I have to tell you about a book I've been looking forward to for what seems like forever. The third standalone in Sierra Simone's Priest collection is coming out on September 7th. It features the third Bell brother, Aiden. HBs, I have to scream for a minute about a wonderful company for all of your romance and BTS merch. I know a ton of you love both. It's called Literary Souvenirs. Prashita and Devisha are two sisters and fangirls who create beautiful designs for apparel, enamel pins, acrylic keychains, handmade resin bookmarks, coasters, jewelry, and so much more. Seriously, they do it all. They just released brand new designs for HB favorites like Neon Gods and The Love Hypothesis. Plus, they have a History Huh shirt from Red, White, and Royal Blue that I currently have in my cart, and a stunning From Blood and Ash enamel pin. I'm going to link their Etsy and social media pages for individual orders, but I also need to rave about my experience with their custom design and bulk ordering. Jenny and I decided to have enamel pins made for the first 100 supporters of Bonkers Romance, and Prashita and Devisha went above and beyond. Not only did they do a beautiful custom design of our I Went Bonkers First pins, but working with them was a dream. They were so responsive and accommodating, and they did an amazing job keeping us updated during the production process. I cannot recommend them enough for any of your custom needs. And also, you can get any of the current merchandise in bulk. Just let them know what you want. So, go support this small, woman-owned family business by following Literary Souvenirs on social media and checking out the goods on Etsy. You won't regret it.
Ma'am.
No, Lenny, no. I also love this book because not only is it firmly, squarely her fault and yet you still can sympathize with her.
Mm-hmm.
But then she's also so fucking clumsy every time she tries to fix it. And it's so relatable.
Yes.
Oh my God. You think you're saying exactly the right thing and it tumbles out of your mouth and you're like, oh God, I just made it 8 times worse. No. Oh, it's terrible. So he's like, it's over. It's done. Also like, here's what I was coming to give you. And he crumples up a piece of paper and throws part 2 of their love melody.
The sheet music, and it's a duet.
And now we're at part 2. Yes. You know, okay, that's real. That's the first part was part 1. Now we're at part 2 of the book.
Yes.
End of the song. So, boy, she lives in a Joe-less world right now. And oh my God, we forgot to tell them last time that like the morning after they kissed, she was calling herself Joe-lerious.
Ugh, cute.
Ugh. And Sarah was saying that she was like a dementoid over him. Oh my God. It's so good. Okay, sorry. So she's living a Joe-less gray life. Mm-hmm. And she keeps on like trying to keep herself busy by like working on the mom searches. And then she goes out and talks to Big. And she's like, I've been trying to figure this out. Do you believe in this family narrative of like restless gene bullshit? And he's like, I mean, I don't know that I believe exactly in the restless gene stuff, but it's part of our family story and it's happened quite a bit. We just decided that the narrative was going to be it's genetic. And that was the way that we get to tell our story. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so she's like, I think Bailey had the restless gene. And he's like, he doesn't say this, but essentially he's thinking like, I don't know when she became a fixed entity in your mind, Lenny, but like her dreams had obviously changed by the time she died. When he saw her get rejected from Juilliard, he saw it for what it was, that she was relieved to not have to choose between Juilliard and Toby and like raising a family and doing all this stuff. And then he looks at her and he's like, the only person that I ever saw working really, really hard toward anything like Juilliard is you with your clarinet. And that's why everybody was really shocked when you quit that, because it was so clear to everyone that like their trajectories had flipped, except to Lenny. Man, and so this is where Lenny, sweet, sweet baby that she is, she discovers the art of narrative reframing for the first time in her life. I remember vividly when this happened to me. When like I literally like my undergrad thesis was all about narrative reframing your way out of trauma. It was revolutionary to me. And so when this happened to her, I was just like, oh, Lens, oh, you can do it. It can happen. Yeah.
I think I was born narrative reframing. This never, I was just like, I don't remember it occurring to me. I am a narrative reframe. There's nothing real under it.
No.
Just,
Aaron. No, I hear you. No, you are. You're a born storyteller. And that's one of the reasons that you can pivot so quickly.
I'm not bragging. It's a problem.
It is a gift and a curse, Aaron, is what it is.
It is. It truly is.
Yeah, double-edged goodness right there. I mean, and now that when I did discover it, unstoppable, this guy. Yeah. So she calls Joe's house the next day, and she has this chat with his brother Marcus.
Oof.
she's like, hey, is Joe there? And he's like, nope, he left early. And like, awkward silence, awkward silence. And he's like, I've never seen him this broken up about a girl before, or really anything. Awkward silence, awkward silence. And she's like, okay, will you tell him that I called? And he's like, yeah, Lenny. Also, if you really like him, don't give up on him. Click.
Yeah.
Marcus
Hero.
is like hero, but like savage hero. You know? Man. So now Lenny sends an SOS to Sarah.
Oh, God. Okay. Bing, boom, bong, bird click. Listen.
Oh, God.
This was such secondhand embarrassment. But also, like, I was thinking about if this were another book that was like a more poorly written book, I feel like this book knows what it is. You know, it's like a self-aware,
in the best
I don't know
way.
how to say it. Yeah, like this was written to be embarrassing and to be realistic of something that you would do when you're 17. Oh,
and desperate.
It's so desperate. She lets Sarah.
Oh, God.
Remember Sarah? The one with the
Sarah
nest
of
the
the
blonde
velvet
hair?
dresses and the cowboy boots and the
smoking and the red lips and the pancake of white
and the
ghoulish
2010
makeup.
nest hair.
Yes. And the combat boots. She does let Sarah give her a makeover before band practice.
For seduction.
For seduction reasons.
Band practice.
As if her sluttiness was not the OG problem. Like,
that was my favorite part about it. I was like, oh no.
Being
with
hot
with
enough,
a cardigan.
cover
yourself.
Was not your problem. Being too hot for too many boys is the issue.
Yeah.
So she shows up to band practice, of course, feeling stupid because she's wearing platform heels, a cocktail dress that
the
doesn't fit her.
Mini cocktail dress with like her tits hanging
one of those tubby
out.
boys. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a bandage dress if I've ever heard one.
We've got a push-up bra that is like stuffed and her boobs are lifted up out of there. We've got red lipstick. We've got hair down for the first time ever. It is insane. I need listener to know that Melody just tried to put a blueberry in her mouth and completely missed and then dropped it on the floor.
On my desk, and I've already picked it up. So,
all right, okay.
Ready?
Well, I commend the dexterity and ability to put things in your mouth. Okay, so she's at band practice. He doesn't show up, but I've found a new hard limit.
Tell me everything.
In this YA book.
Oh, I did too. The teacher.
Oh, no, I didn't. Yes, that's a problem.
That's a big hard limit for me.
The teacher says something about like
you look
or something.
ravishing today.
Yes. Oof. Don't say
Don't
that,
like
teachers.
It. Don't
love
like it. No.
Didn't like it, teacher. Hey, listen, here's my hard limit. Red lipstick on reed instruments. Don't do it.
Yeah, why are you like
Hate
that?
it. Don't. How
Also,
that lipstick
can I
didn't
tell
end up
you-
everywhere blows my mind.
I mean, it did. She says that it did. But
like on her, I mean. Like, she didn't walk out there with like,
Yeah, completely. But can I tell you, so as much as she is a clarinet, she really abuses her instrument. In the very first scene, we forgot to tell them that she gets so mad about Joe smiling at Rachel that she bites her reed in half. And now she's just slathering the whole thing in red lipstick. What's happening?
Well, I mean, you don't use the same reed every time. You pull that sucker out and put new ones on.
I know.
But, but I feel like instruments can take a lot. I famously once had an oboe thrown at my head, and that oboe continued to play after that. You seem surprised, whereas, like, I feel like that's a very predictable story.
No. Just let me play this out for you in my brain.
Okay.
In your hierarchy of weird, oboe was second from the bottom. So what the fuck did the French hornist do to you?
Oh, nothing.
If the oboe threw an oboe at you, what happened with the French horn?
Well, so the oboe player was my best friend's little sister.
Okay.
And she was mad at us for, like, I don't know, existing and not, like, paying enough attention to her, probably. Or maybe she was trying to practice her oboe and like we were hanging out. Like I don't remember it, but she got really mad at us and we were astounded that she'd gotten this mad this quickly without us noticing.
Sure.
Because we were kind of batting her away. And then all of a sudden this oboe just comes sailing at my head. And I've never let her forget it. The end.
Yeah, fair. That seems like something that should be remembered. Okay, listen. So
Yes.
she is like club ready for band and he doesn't even show up.
It's so early.
Everybody else is like ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-ba. Like all the other boys are making noises at her and stuff. So now she's like, well, that plan failed.
So now she goes to his house.
Yeah.
If you guys can imagine, it gets more worse and weird.
So she's like, he didn't get to load all of this at band practice. So I need to deliver all of this to his house.
To his home where he lives with
his family.
So she goes there and there is like a weeping willow tree because
that
of
her
course
parents
there
are
is.
fighting in front of.
Yes.
Her parents are having like, or his parents are having like a
Yes.
whisper shout match at each other and like flailing their arms around and stuff.
So she hides inside the weeping willow tree because that's possible. And then she starts listening. So first she hears him playing his sad solo clarinet,
their song.
their song, over and over and over. She hears one of those brothers be like, hey, stop playing that song so much. It fucking sucks. And then she hears his phone ring and him be like, oh, hey, Rachel.
Hi, Rachel.
What's up? Yeah, like, I agree that, like, Tibetan throat singing is, like, pretty cool or something like that. Then, you guys, she's still hiding in a tree in a tube dress.
In platforms.
In platforms, like, in the grass, while his parents are fighting. Like, it's so much. Then Toby walks up and knocks on his door. Knock, knock, knock. And he's very like, what's the deal with you, man? I told you to get away. Like, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want, like, fight this out with anybody.
I don't want to do this.
Yes.
And she can't hear what Toby's saying, but she can see that Toby's like, really trying to get something out. And so this is when she's just like, I must show myself to the world.
Oh my God. I am the racehorse. I am the narrator of my own story.
Oh my God.
And so then she
she Hulk smashes out of this tree.
like the beaded curtain.
Stumbles over.
Oh my God.
And then doesn't say anything.
She literally stumbles.
Yes. Because she's wearing platform heels that she can't walk in, and it's gravel.
Yes.
So then Marcus, the savage, heroic brother, is like, whoa, Lenny, va-va,
Damn,
boom.
girl.
Damn. And then Joe is like, shut the fuck up, Marcus. That's my woman. But of course he can't say that because he's so goddamn
He
mad.
can't say that. He's the only one that doesn't give two fucks that she's in a special bandage dress and a red lip because he's the perfect man.
Everybody else, jaw on the floor. And she's just like, oh no, this has been a big miscalculation. He doesn't care about my hot bod. He already knew how hot this bod was. Oh no.
Yeah. That wasn't the problem.
Right.
So he tells him to get away.
This is where she sees his voice.
He tries to walk away. She tries to walk away from her, and she grabs the bottom of the back of his shirt. Oh, it's the most desperate, sad thing in the world.
And then she said, like, all she can keep saying is, I'm sorry. And he's like, I don't give a fuck that you're sorry.
I don't care if you're sorry.
It doesn't matter. You still did the thing. You did the exact thing that Genevieve did. You did the thing. You did the thing that my dad does. You're doing the thing that I hate, and I told you that I hate. And then you gaslit me, you asshole. And then she looks down and realizes that he was so upset, he just like walked into the driveway without shoes on. And so she looks down and all she says is, your feet. I've never seen them before. And he almost cracks because she's so fucking cute. Oh no. And then he's just like, get the fuck away from me. I cannot do this. We're done. It's ruined. And he goes into the house. Oh my God.
And honestly, I wouldn't have been surprised if he wasn't like, I can deal with a lady that cheats on me, but I cannot deal with somebody this fucking awkward. Like, I can't.
No.
The fact that you thought it was this was a good idea, this is too much.
Oh, I know. You know? This whole thing was just like not. It could never be a good idea, Lenny. And
no.
Boy, what a miscalculation this was. So then, Erin, then what would you do in this situation? You turn around and you take your sorry, desperate, bandaged ass home on your own 2 platform heels. That's what you do.
You definitely don't get into Toby's fucking car in that driveway.
You don't get into Toby's fucking car? Jesus. So she does that, though. She does do that. And she does do that. The whole time she's like, wow, Joe is watching me climb into his truck in my teensy, tiny little dress.
No way she didn't flash vagina at everybody getting into that truck.
Everybody saw her Britney. Free Britney also, but like in the right circumstances. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We don't need photographs of her vagina getting into cars.
No.
That is not the right way to free her.
Jesus. Yes. So, okay, so then she's like, hey, Toby, what are you doing here, though? And he's like, oh, well, I came by yesterday, too, and he sort of tried to beat me to death with his guitar. So, like, I feel like we're making progress. Mm-hmm. He's like, yesterday I got about 3 words out. Today I got about 10 words out. And really, my point is just, like, he needs to give you a second chance because it's not romantic with us. It's just, like, a weird thing. A weird, grief, awful thing that's been happening.
Yeah.
And she's like, wow, that's really meddlesome of you, but like appreciated, you know?
Yeah.
Oh. So now she goes into the attic. It's like the next day probably.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes into the attic and she finds a bunch of letters that Graham has been writing to her gone mom.
Mm-hmm.
And it is in a box that has a bunch of like chiseled wild horses like carved into the top or something.
Mm-hmm.
And man, is that just an extended metaphor, you know?
But she kind of figures out that it wasn't really as, you know, Graham never acted sad about the mom being gone. She always just acted like it was kind of a fun thing about their family. And she's an explorer and blah, blah, blah. And now she's reading these notes that Graham has written to her mother. And she's realizing how very painful this was.
That Graham's been heartbroken
for her grandmother
for her whole life.
Yes. That she left. And she's also learning things about her mother and things she used to do. Yeah,
this is so unexpected. I don't know why it was unexpected to me, but this nugget, I don't know, it was so poignant to me because she was like, my whole life, I've never known my mom. She left when I was 1. Graham doesn't really talk about her because in Graham's mind, she didn't want to like leave her with an impression just in case she got to meet her mom one day. And she's like, but now I just found out that she really loves lilacs to the point that Graham would find her sleeping under the lilac bush in the summer. And like, she makes a really good pesto. And I've never even thought of my mom like boiling noodles. Like, what the fuck is this? Like she's
always been this kind of like idea and not a real person.
Oh, and it's, God, it was so heartbreakingly gorgeous. Hey, HBs, I have to tell you about a podcast I love and listen to religiously. The Rosecast with Rim and AB is the #1 Bachelor recap podcast hosted by a male interracial best friend duo. Oh boy. It's July, folks. That means new Bonkers Book Club selections. And let me tell you, our cup runneth over. First, there's a historical smorgasbord. You get the entire box set of Nicola Davidson's Surrey SFS series. If you're not familiar, that stands for Sexual Freedom Society. This box set includes 5 ridiculously spicy historicals, with a variety of gender pairings and trios, and so much more that makes my heart sing. Then, Jenny and Katie are offering up one of their all-time favorites, Brutal Prince by Sophie Lark. That's the mafia book where the heroine accidentally sets the hero's house on fire, and then makes sure her mouth is full of strawberries because she knows he's extremely allergic. Best wedding kiss ever, right? And then we decided to do a little bonus. We wanted to see if audiobooks are something you'd like as part of book club. And Kay Lorraine and Meg Ann have a series called The Mate Games. You get to listen to Book 1, Obsession. It's a paranormal reverse harem that's done with duet narration. And the cast of narrators is insanely good. So, Joybringers have tons to look forward to. If you want to join, check out our website. The link is in the show notes.
Hearing, and it's just so beautiful the way this book writes about grief.
Yeah.
So she's just wrapped up in all the Joe of it all, and Toby of it all, and the mom of it all, and the Bailey of it all. She's not having a great time. So her friend Sarah decides she's going to take her to the movies. She's going to get some vodka.
God. No.
It's going to be a good movie that's going to take her mind off things, and she's going to sneak in some liquor, and they're going to have a fun night that doesn't have to do with any of this bullshit.
A fun girls' night, party, Excite Town time.
I felt this so deeply. They're at the movie and they see Joe and Rachel out together. And I'm going to read it. Is that okay?
Please, God, you have to.
Okay. She sees them together and they're kind of like talking before they cross the street at the crosswalk toward the movie theater. And she has the thought, cross the street before you fall in love. Like it's going to happen right now and she has to stop it before he falls in love with her. Oh, gosh, beautiful. So then they start walking across the street and he looks at her. Like somewhere they make eye contact and it says, I meet Joe's eyes head on. Sarah disappears, then Rachel, then all the people waiting in line, then the cars, then the trees, the building, the ground, the sky, until it is only Joe and me staring across empty space at each other. He does not smile, he anti-smiles, but I can't look away and he can't seem to either. Time has slowed so much that I wonder when we stop staring at each other, I wonder if when we stop staring at each other, we will be old and our whole lives will have been over with just a few measly kisses between us. I'm dizzy with missing him, dizzy with seeing him, dizzy with being just yards from him. I want to run across the street, and I'm about to. I hear my heart surge, pushing me toward him, but then he just shakes his head almost to himself and looks away from me and toward Rachel, who now comes back into focus. High definition focus. Very deliberately, he puts his arm around her and together they cross the street and get in line for the movie. A searing pain claws through me. He doesn't look back, but Rachel does. She salutes me, a triumphant smile on her face, then flips an insult of blonde hair at me as she swings her arm around his waist.
An insult of blonde hair. Aaron.
It's so well written, you guys.
Jesus.
Like, did you not feel that? Like, I'm sorry it took 2 minutes to read that. But I mean,
I'm not.
Did you not feel that with like everything in you?
Oh
like,
my God.
Jandy, you bitch.
Oh God.
Sorry.
Jandy. So then Sarah is like, abort mission. Let's
do something else.
Let's go climb into ennui. Like, that's not fucking ironic. And yeah. Ugh.
So, and it hasn't even been a week. And like, that's one of the things that she's really upset about upon seeing this is like, it's only been like a couple of days. What if he has sex with her? Like, what if it's just like a full on revenge relationship? Like, what are they doing? Are they falling in love? Like, oh, it's just awful.
Now I'm pretty sure Graham finally blows her top.
So Graham has these, you guys, it's so much this.
It's so
Graham
good.
has these flowers in her garden
They
that
are
are roses that are supposed to be an aphrodisiac. They're supposed to make people fall in love, and like the whole community goes and find it's very practical magic.
They're a love potion number 9 situation.
Yes. But Graham doesn't want anybody to touch her roses. She does them. So she goes and fucking lobs off all the roses in Graham's garden, which is like the worst thing she could do to Graham.
Yeah.
And then she puts him in a basket and she walks him over to Joe's house, hoping that he will smell the roses and fall back in love with her. So Joe's mom answers the door. she's like really taken with the roses. And finally Lenny's just like, okay, will you give them to Joe for me? And then Joe comes up behind her. He's coming home.
Probably from Rachel's house.
Probably from Rachel's house. Probably just pulled right out of Rachel and come right over here. God, they're children. Okay, so then he's like,
he's fucking mad.
This is so good. He's like, you brought these roses over here to make me fall in love with you. And like, let's be super clear. Me being in love with you was not the problem. I am in love with you.
No super hot slutty dress is going to make a difference. No fucking roses are going to... Yes, please.
You've got to be kidding. You think it's that easy. His face is getting flushed, his eyes bulgy and wild. I don't want tiny dresses or stupid fucking magic flowers. He flails in place like a marionette. I'm already in love with you, Lenny. Don't you get it? But I can't be with you. Every time I close my eyes, I see you with him. Then she does have to leave. But then when she gets home,
Graham is sitting at the table with the shears.
She's mad.
She's of course she is. And this is after, so I need to set the scene for listener, right? Because at the beginning of last episode, I was like, Graham, it's been 4 weeks, you know, like get off her tits a little bit about cleaning up Bailey's stuff or whatever. But also justice for Graham, because for the last 4 weeks, she's been sort of like following Lenny around, trying to have tea with her every day like they always do. And like desperately trying to get her to open up and confide in her about how she's feeling. And, you know, really, really just trying so hard to connect with her. And so she comes home and Graham is like, do you want to explain yourself? And then by like the middle of this argument, Lenny realizes, oh, fuck, I am so selfish and self-centered because,
Graham tells her she's self-centered. You know, she's like, you're so selfish. Like, you think you're the only one in the world who lost somebody. Like, I lost my granddaughter, who I raised.
Who is basically my daughter. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, you didn't think that maybe I needed to talk? Like, yeah, I also wanted you to be able to talk, but you don't think I haven't needed anything in my hour of grief? And so Lenny's standing there and she's like, oh my God, I'm such a fucking dumbass. Of course, Toby's not the only one who understands what I'm going through. This is now the second daughter that Graham has lost. And I've just been thinking like, she needs nothing. She's fine. She's an island unto herself. She is an entity that only gives and gives to me. Ooh.
And that's how you think when you're a teenager.
And
Adults
when you're
are just
grieving.
there to give you stuff. And when you're grieving. Yeah.
Like, oh God, it's so fucking real.
And she's like, I nearly cut up your book of Wuthering Heights. Like, I nearly cut up your stupid book. That's how mad I was that you cut up my roses. And they also talk about the mom, though, because she says...
Graham is like, I went up to the attic and I saw that you found the box. It was in a different place.
Right.
And so she says, yeah, I want to talk about mom. And Graham is like, yeah, I know. I felt really bad about that because Bailey shouldn't have died knowing so little about your mom. Oh, God.
It's so heartbreaking. She tells the story about how the mom left.
Yeah.
And Graham always paints these women in green dresses. And it turns out
the whole, like, all of them are green. She paints women in only shades of green.
Yes.
And they're like sort of haunting and willowy and they're unreachable. Oh, God.
And Lenny describes green as her favorite color, but we learn in this conversation it's her least favorite color. Because the mother was like draped in all these green scarves and stuff and like running around the house very manically saying, what if I left? What if I left? I'm just going to leave. I'm just going to leave. What would you do if I left? Like, and finally Graham's like, yeah, I would raise your kids if you took off on them. But like, just so you know, if you leave, you can never come back to this house.
Don't you fucking come back.
You will never be in this family again. And she did. And since then, Graham has been like, she'll be back to the girls.
And she says, it wasn't a promise. It was a prayer.
Yeah.
It wasn't a promise to you girls. It was my own private prayer because she's held so much guilt about thinking like Graham is the reason that their mom is never going to come back.
Right.
Oh.
And then, of course, Lenny's like, it's not your fault that she left. It's not, she could have come back. Like, it's just you saying that doesn't mean, oh, it's beautiful. It's a big forgive. It's a big family redemption, which is Melody's favorite thing.
It is my favorite thing.
Then they do just hack up Wuthering Heights.
Boy, they hack up Wuthering Heights together, and it is catharsis. Man.
Yes.
It's wonderful. And then, like, they keep on talking. Like, they have this whole section where they reconnect, and she notices that both of them are taking shards of the papers, basically, and turning them into new sentences. And both of them are doing it without realizing the other one is also doing it. And then Graham pulls out the box of letters, and she's like, I want you to know your mom, and this, and I want you to know, I want you to know, like, the real part of her being gone for the past 16 years. And so read my letters to her. It's not all going to be pretty. You're going to see, my heart in a lot of them, and it's not nice. Oh, God. And then she realizes, she's like, oh, my God, I've been doing the same thing. But instead of putting all of my notes to Bailey in a box, thinking I can give them to her someday, I've been a litter bug, thinking like somehow they'll reach her in the afterlife. And fuck, man.
Yeah. It's it's a big powerful.
Oh, no.
Also in this conversation, Graham reveals that she saw the whole thing play out between Toby and Joe when she was making out with Toby.
Tonsil hockey with Toby.
Yeah,
no.
And she was like, don't get me wrong, I wasn't thinking good for her when you were making out with Toby, but I know that grief makes people do crazy things.
Yeah.
Anyway, they talk that all out. It's really, really, truly beautiful. Then Lenny does go through all of those letters.
Yeah.
One night, Big and Graham go out together. It's like their first night out since Bailey died. And she does just sit alone and read all those letters. And then she decides, I don't know if Toby comes over or
no,
like maybe Graham.
No. So when he dropped her off, he told her, I'm going to stay away from you for a while, but know that I'll always be here if you need anything. And she's like, yeah, same. So then she's like, I've been a fucking coward since my sister died. I haven't been able to deal with like the coffin of it all and the claustrophobia of it all and thinking about my sister. God, there's this whole beautiful section that ties back to a passage at the beginning where she talks about how right after Bailey died, she just made a series of decisions. She decided like what she was going to wear and what they were going to write on the tombstone and, what they were going to do about this and that and the makeup she was going to wear and all the stuff. And so it comes back later and partially now too, but she's like, I need to go and face this at the cemetery. So she goes and finds Toby.
It has been a recurring theme that she is afraid of imagining her sister in the coffin.
Yeah.
Which is like such a real thing.
Yeah.
Oh no, now I'm going to cry. It's such a real thing.
It is.
And that is kind of why she's been afraid to go to the spot.
And it's also why she's been looking for some kind of connection and release that's not going to the cemetery. Because she could go and talk to Bailey anytime, but instead she's going through her dresser. She's making out with her boyfriend. She's doing like a ton of stuff to just like try to be tethered back to Bailey. And she's like, no, I'm gonna face it. I'm gonna go do it. So she finds Toby and she's like, all right, I want to go to the cemetery. And he's like, yeah, cool. And she's like, wait a second. Have you been to the cemetery?
Yeah, he goes every day.
He's like, yeah, I go every day. Like Graham goes all the time. Big goes all the time. I find his roaches out there. He just goes and like smokes a bunch of joints out there.
God.
And she's like, oh my God, I am the most terrible sister, which is also not true. Like everybody navigates grief in different ways. When my dad died, his ashes weren't important to me. His ashes freaked me out. I didn't want anything to do with them. I just wanted to like be able to call his voicemail and talk to him in my head. I didn't want anything to do with the physical blah. And it's, everybody's different. So she and Toby go, and it's a beautiful. And then I think that's where she decides that she's going to write Joe a poem.
Yes. Clear the house. We're writing a poem.
Seriously,
this is different.
Yeah,
this is different than the jotting poems. This is a real 17-year-old love poem. Yes. Clear my schedule. Move all the things aside. We're writing a poem.
That's right.
And I love that we never really get to read this poem.
I love it and I hate it. Jandy, you meant to do that. You meant for me to love and hate it, Jandy.
Yes.
And it worked, and I'm mad at you about it.
She writes down this poem.
And it's like long.
It's very long. I feel like it's 10 pages of single space, 10 point, Times New Roman.
At least.
Double-sided.
Uh-huh.
And she puts it in an envelope. An envelope. I feel like
no, she writes it on the bed out there. She goes to the bed. She goes to the spider nest bed.
No.
Yeah.
No, she doesn't write it on the bed.
I swear to Christ she does. She sits on the bed all afternoon in the forest and writes that fucking poem. I know she does. And then she's going to go...
Wait. But on paper.
But on paper, yeah.
I thought you meant she wrote it on the bed. Like on the sheet, which would not be so weird. Like, give me that would...
No, that's a tweet nonsense
this bitch
that would definitely happen. If,
Okay.
Yeah. No, she does. She sits on the bed in their spot where he did rub up on her midriff and make out with her. Great.
Where she promised herself to him.
God.
She does put it in an envelope and she does put Joe on it and she does sneak it under those covers.
Yeah. So then she goes home and she's like, oh, fuck.
She's like, I said shit like I'm his and my heart is his.
I belong
really
to
rough.
him.
Oh no.
Fuck. So the next morning she goes out to get it because she does that other thing where you just lay in your bed all night at 17 and think about the one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes out there in the morning to get it and it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody got it. And she's like, I don't know what's worse if Joe got it or if somebody else did.
What if Joe took Rachel out there and Rachel got it? That was my first thought. That's the thought that I would have if I was her. Is like, he took that slut out here. She laid on it. It crinkled. She was like, what's this? Oh my God, let's read it together and laugh and laugh and laugh. That would have been... She
does worry that he's like... that he's doing dramatic readings of it in front of his brothers and Rachel and, like this, that's real.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when she's like, you know what? My ass is out in the air already with Joe. So may as well just put it all the way the fuck out there. I'm going to be the narrative reframing racehorse I am. All right. I'm taking all of my metaphors and I'm putting them together and I'm taking this booty and I'm going down to band practice and I'm saying, Rachel, it's time to get challenged in the fall. Get ready.
I'm dropping a gauntlet.
That's right.
Of a challenge for first chair. Come September, let the best clarinetist win.
She
it's the
literally
most
says
overly
that.
dramatic.
And I loved it.
And Rachel was like, oh, she's so scared. Because she's like, hey, if this is about Joe, there's nothing there. He was hung up on you. Nothing happened. And she's like, it's not about Joe.
It's about
solos. I want the solos, bitch.
Yeah.
And then Rachel's like, you know what? We could talk about this and like I could give you half the solos or like all the solos. We can share all the solos. And she's like, no, I don't want half the solos. I do want your chair.
I do want to kick your ass out of first chair.
Yes.
Because we need to tell the world who the best clarinetist is. Dun, dun, dun.
At Clover High School.
That's right. And then she looks at her and she's like, also, Rachel, I'm going for Allstate. So, like, gird your fucking loins. It's so funny.
Oh, my God. Nothing, like, this book stirred many teenage emotions inside of me, but Allstate was certainly one of them.
Oh, my God.
Like, Allstate band. Oof. Just putting on those black trousers, doing that solo in front of that one guy in that small room.
Oh, my God. Mine was Speech Nationals. Ooh, qualifying for
mine
Speech
too,
Nationals.
obviously.
Jesus.
But I did do Band All State.
There you go.
Too. Yeah.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Listen,
Anyways.
so now she goes to the bed again.
Yeah.
It's time to go to the
There
bed
she goes.
because she just, she needs to think about the world and life and stuff.
Well, she's feeling good. She's like, maybe Joe's going to be at that bed, and maybe he's going to forgive me.
Yeah.
I'm feeling optimistic.
Yeah, and so she sits down and he's not there, but then there's like a creak in the woods and stuff, and then she hears a
squeak, squeak. And that is their love song.
That is the most romantic song that a person's ever written for another one, and it is wafting through the branches of the forest.
Yeah.
And so boy, is she a big excite. And he comes over to the bed and he's like, I thought I might find you here. And she's like, oh no.
Yeah.
Is it happening? It's happening. I think it's happening.
He's got a backpack. Oh. He opens up the backpack and it's got all her little scraps of all her candy wrappers and all her littering.
He's decided during his relationship with her, he was like, fuck being a musician. I am going to have the job security and pension of a garbage man, and I'm starting now.
Yes.
That's what I'm going to do.
Absolutely.
I love the environment. And so this is, I'm being not only practical, but good to the earth.
Yes.
And he had collected all of her litter.
Well, all the ones he found.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably hundreds of more out there.
Jesus.
But so he actually found a couple of these before he even met her.
Yeah.
On like candy wrappers and stuff around the school. And then when he met her and realized, because they're all about Bailey. So,
right.
And she uses her name too. It's not, these aren't super abstract or
clandestine.
Anonymous,
Yeah.
Yeah. So he realizes that she was writing them, and then he found one, and the day he followed her out to the tree, he meant to like give it back to her, but then he's like, that's weird because then she knows that I like picked it up and I read it, so like I'll just keep it. And then he saw that she was writing one in the tree that day, so then he climbed up there and got it.
Yeah.
And then he's just been kind of picking these up behind her ever since.
Or just finding them randomly.
Yes.
Like, he's like, I wasn't just stalking you. Like, that might have also happened. But it also felt a lot like
fate. A lot of them are in her
fate.
grandmother's garden. A lot of them are at that waterfall she goes to all the time. I mean, she's a pretty predictable person.
Yeah, she is. So oh God. So by the end of this, he's like, so I got your poem. And then I reread through all of these.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I can sort of understand how this happened and how it had nothing to do with me and nothing to do with us and everything just to do with the soul-crushing despair both you and Toby have been feeling about Bailey.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, that's it. That's definitely it because I'm completely in love with you.
Mm-hmm.
And, oh man, he says he's in love with her too.
And then they fuck.
And then they make, so then...
Sorry,
like,
I just wanted to ruin it.
No, I know. And so then
it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
They start like making out on the bed, and it's adorable because she says, I want to do everything with you. And he's like, oh God, because it's the exact thing he said to her.
Mm-hmm.
And then they do that big makeout and it's adorable. And then the epilogue is Uncle Big getting married for the 6th time because the Roses work on Uncle Big chiefly.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yep.
There you go.
Yep.
And they're together forever. He's going to be her first, I'm sure of it. Nothing goes badly in
I thought
college.
they did it on that bed that day.
Maybe they did. I don't know.
I thought they did it. Because it's like, if anyone wants to find us, we'll be in the sky. Like, oh, God, it's beautiful.
It is really beautiful.
I just really thought she was getting railed when she said that she was up in the sky. I mean, come on. Right?
You know what? That's not a firmly earthly metaphor.
No.
That's definitely sky stuff, you know?
Yeah, I just feel like it's not smooching anymore if you're up in the sky.
I hear you.
Listen.
The sky is
she
everywhere,
least,
Erin.
listen,
So she's boning in the sky right now.
She got, like, finger banged.
Oh,
okay?
she
Definitely
definitely got fingered.
Yes.
Yeah. What a romance.
YA is so weird. I'm glad we finally read a good one, though.
Oh my God, this was so beautifully good. I'm going to buy it in paperback and keep it on my shelf so that my kids find it someday. Like,
It's so good.
God, it's so good.
The descriptions of grief were so, I mean, we skipped over too when she starts to like realize what it was with her and Toby. And there are several different descriptions of why she thinks that happened the way that it did. But the one that is just like, just wrenching is that Bailey loved both of them so much that they were trying to put her back together.
Yeah.
By being together.
Yeah.
Like if the love for both of them could, like they're trying to make her whole heart go back together. It's so good. I can't say it with my stupid dumb bitch words, but just know that in the book.
No, you conveyed it really well. Like that is the sentiment, and it is wrenching in the most beautiful, tragic, horrible, wonderful, mixed up, it's a mess in here way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Jandy,
like,
you know what? I'm saying this with all the love in the world, Jandy, but like, go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself. I was about to. I'm like, whatever she says, I'm gonna cut in and say, go fuck yourself. But I'm really glad that's what you said, man.
Oh.
Hey, Jandy.
Hey, God damn it!
Dare you? That's what I want to say. First of all,
yeah.
How dare you?
How dare you? Just bring this magic into the fucking world. Jeez.
Hey,
wow.
Listener who recommended this book, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, listener. Jesus. So, okay. Now we have to do Lady Loves.
Yes.
Yeah. You know what mine is? Can I tell mine?
What? Yes.
Mine is...
Yeah, I mean, it's your podcast. You can do whatever. Yeah. I don't know anyone that can stop you.
Mine is in the spirit of ill-conceived seduction tactics. Boy, did I get a new bra, Erin.
Yes.
And like, I'm doing this in the best of ways. Did you see those pictures I sent to the chat? I don't know if my tits have ever been as high as they are in this bra.
Where is it from? What is it about? What is the deal?
Listen, it's a cheap Amazon bra, and one of the reasons that it works is because I have lost 2 cup sizes since breastfeeding. So like there's not a bunch to lift up, but what gets lifted in this bra is incredible. It's also got, so it is an underwire, but it's got like a 5-inch back on this sucker.
Oh, I love it when it has a big back.
Oh, and it's got these undery push-up cup situations that's basically like Wonder Bra, but on steroids. And listen, it was so good that I did a weird, what's happening?
My husband just came in, gave me a single tortilla chip, and then murmured, "I'm going to the dump," and then left. He just knew to bring me a snack. He knew not to come in here without a snack.
I'm in love with him. He is so cute.
Me too.
Anyway, Erin, I'll send you the link to this bra. I'm going to the dump.
Sorry. Anyway.
Yeah, so new bra.
There you go. You're not going to tell us what bra it is?
I mean, I'll post the link in the Lady Love. I don't know.
Okay.
It's a cheap Amazon. I saw it and I was like, I wonder if that will lift them up and separate them high and put my boobs up near my chin. And when it came, the bra said, "Ta-da!" And I said, "Thank you, bra."
I know I've said it before, but I love a Spanx bra. They've got a good lineup. Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Hello.
You said the words "cat on a hot tin roof" earlier in this recording.
Indeed.
Which made me think of old-timey Paul Newman. Which made me think...
Really? Okay. I was going to go Tennessee Williams, but fine.
Not hot.
I mean...
I don't understand. That's so strange. That made me remember that TikTok algorithm has sensed in me that I want to see vintage lady boner photos of old-timey hot men. such as old-timey Marlon Brando and old-timey Paul Newman and old-timey Gregory Peck and, you know, all of those vintage thirst traps. And I don't know how you find it. Listen, I don't know how you find this corner of TikTok where it's the thirst videos for the old-timey men, but it is a hot area of TikTok. And I implore you to just search up a hashtag Paul Newman or a hashtag Marlon Brando or, you know, like and I think you'll find it. And if you just teach this algorithm that this is what you want, it just really
delivers
just
it
serves
to you.
Yes, yes. Yes, it does.
All right.
There you go.
I want it noted for the record that after you called me a weirdo just now, I got so paranoid that Tennessee Williams did not write Cat on a Hot Tin Roof that I did Google it.
100% did.
And he did. So that's an intellectualism in 2020. You know, and a remembering things in 2021.
I was in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof one time.
Were you?
And I don't even remember. I was some kind of side character family member who was insufferable.
You were like Mr. Jellicles?
Yes, I've never played the sexy one in the middle. I've always been the old weird one on the side. The Jenny Annie Dots of Cat on a Hot Tin Roof is what I played. But I don't remember anything about it except that it existed.
I love it.
Anyway.
All right, cool. So, you can find us on so many places, everybody, and it's different. So you got to follow us everywhere, and we're not being dicks about it. That's just the truth, okay?
It's just true.
It's just different content, and we do that for you to serve
for you. So that those of you who are loyal and do follow us everywhere don't have to see the same three things every time.
That's right.
When you open up your different medias.
That's right. So it's Instagram's at Heaving Bosoms. Twitter's is at Heaving_Bosoms. Facebook is both the page and the Heaving Bosoms Geriatric Friendship Cult. It's the website is a heavingbosoms.com. We have this Patreon that I'm sorry is really kick-ass. A lot of times you get to see the weird hand gestures we make because we put video of almost every episode up there if we have it.
Not this one.
Not this one because we did have a schmectical difficulties.
We had some problems.
Yeah,
but
so
it's going to be okay.
It is. It's gonna be
for
great.
audio. We just don't have video.
Yeah. And, man, bonus content. You get sneak peeks. You get book clubs. There's trivia. There's fun community times that happen over on Patreon. And, so keep being a badass and love yourself as much as you love being the Jenny Annie Cats of Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. Jenny Dots. Jenny Dots. Sorry.
Wait, do we have to do Spider Bed? Wasn't that this episode?
That was this episode. Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah.
Love yourself as much as you love just woodland creatures burrowing into your bed, shitting in there, pissing in there, just like laying their eggs in there, eating their afterbirth on there, just everything. Just a dank, deep, moldy forest bed.
Yeah, love yourself as much as you love breaking away from that kiss and looking over and seeing a raccoon clean its own vagina with its tongue.
Love yourself as much as you love that innkeeper.
Oh, yeah.
Running out in every rainstorm with a tarp so that he can preserve and changing the sheets on a pristine bed in the forest because he likes to think about the people who rent rooms from him coming upon it in the forest and fucking.
There's got to be a camera over there, right?
Oh, yes.
There's definitely a spy camera trained right on that bed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that man is going to jail for watching.
He's a criminal.
What Joe and Lenny did on it.
Yeah, that could be considered CSAM. All right?
Yes.
So
this book could really have ended differently if that innkeeper had found that note. Think about that. Think about that creepy ass innkeeper.
I belong to you.
Just like knocking on her door. I found your note.
I loved it. I got a boner for the first time in 15 years without watching voyeur videos.
The 3 creepy men who listen to our show are like, finally an HEA. Am I right?
Wait, well, really quick, I forgot about the epilogue, listener. There is this adorable part because throughout the whole book, it's been like, found in a tree branch, found in the glory hole on the side of the road of the rest area. Here's a beautiful poem.
Sorry, I muted myself so I can eat my chip. So if you think I wasn't laughing, you're fucking out of your mind. That was hilarious. Found in a glory hole? Man, you win. Are we keeping any of this?
Yeah, we're keeping all of it. So, no. And so at the end, it's like she keeps on trying to take the really embarrassing poem that she wrote for him. And there's only been like 3 lines that we've heard out of it at all. And so it's like, found in Joe's trash can, ripped up into shreds. And then it's like parentheses, found on Joe's desk being taped back together. And then found this place and this place. And then it's like found taped up and like framed in a thing on Joe's desk is like the 3 lines of her poem that we know, which is like, I belong to you. And like my heart is yours. And like all this. It is a romance.
It's a romance.
So, love yourself that fucking much. You tape that poem
Jandy,
together.
hi. Here's the thing.
Hey, Jandy. This is real talk.
Hey, Jandy.
Right now.
You know what I would like
Ooh.
to read?
The innkeeper story? Jandy Nelson all of a sudden ventures into suspense.
Yeah, 50-page erotica called The Innkeeper's Tale that comes out. Everybody's like, we're so excited for another installment in this series. And then everybody's like, oh no.
I can't wait to revisit this universe. Ah! Ooh, no, really, let's talk to Jandy. What do you have to say?
No, I was just like, I couldn't stop thinking about it because I always think about in YA books is like, you don't stay together with your high school boyfriend. Like, this is going to implode somehow, right? Like, this isn't...
It's got to implode in Juilliard over a cellist.
Right?
Yeah.
And, man, wouldn't you love to read, like, a 10 to 15 years later on these two?
Oh, God.
Finding each other again?
Finding each other
when they're,
again.
like, adults and professional musics?
Oh, my God. Jandy, can you do this but not YA anymore? Can you do this again?
Hi, good morning.
Hi, Jandy.
Does anyone write fan fiction? Hello? Hello.
Do you want to write a second chance romance where these 2 crazy kids find each other again? We want it.
I want to read it.
I want it.
I kept like writing in my head as this thing was closing because I was just like, no high schoolers stay together.
Except the ones that do, Aaron. There are ones that do. And they're married for 55 years. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be these 2 because they already went through.
And all the ones I know, I think that was a great decision that they made. Sorry. Sorry.
They have gotten over their one hurdle that they will ever experience in life. And they're obviously still together, HEA.
Smooth sailing. No, but just think how good it would be.
Oh, God, it would be so
if they
good.
broke up and then they found each other again.
The pining. And the way, oh my God, Aaron,
so
the way that his smile is going to change in the next 15 years.
Little eyeball crinkles around his eyes.
Stop
how
it.
he's going to age. Maybe he's got a little bit of gray.
No.
Listen, hi, good morning. Please, I'm begging, Jandy.
Jandy, hi.
Jandy.
We're best friends now, right? You and us?
Right. Oh my God. Mel, what if this book exists and we don't even know it?
Oh my
Maybe
God.
she wrote
we
it.
Have to Google
There's no
right
way.
Now.
There's no way.
No.
If she wrote that, I wouldn't be able to accept that I'm not like a magical being whose dreams come true and I'm not in like the Truman Show. I would become completely unbearable from here on out in my life if this book exists.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's find out.
Honestly, let's pray it doesn't, for both of our sakes.
We can't imbue you with that much power.
Once I start believing I can manifest things with my mind, I will not be able to be controlled. Okay.
We have to go. All right. Goodbye.
Bye. Sorry, we already did. Bye.
Yeah, goodbye.
Bye.
Hey, you. Yes, listener, you. Are you loving the show? If so, please leave a rating and review in your podcast app. The 90 seconds you take to say something nice not only helps new people find the show, but it makes me super smile over at HBHQ. Also, I've had a few people ask, and the answer is yes. We are still doing the 5-star bribe. If you leave us a review with 5 stars, then we'll do whatever book you want. We're real deep into the list, though, so it might be a while. Lilas! Okay, back to the show.